Welcome to the Rich Thinking Experience, where you can escape the 9 to 5 and live your dream life. Hear from millionaire entrepreneurs from around the world who will give you advice on how to start and grow your own internet business, as well as advise in the areas of sales and marketing, investing, and overall personal development. The Rich Thinking Experience with Rama Siva starts now.
This is Rama Siva from London, and today it's my great pleasure to be interviewing Mark Anastasi, author of the New York Times bestseller and Wall Street Journal bestseller, The Laptop Millionaire. On this call, I will be asking Mark how he applied the new science of getting rich to his own life to earn millions of dollars working from home. Without any further ado, let's welcome Mark to the call. Mark, hello.
Hey Rama, thank you for the call.
So let's start at the beginning. What happened? Where were you? What inspired you to do what you do today? How did you get started, Mark?
Back in I grew up in Greece, and I moved to England when I was 18 years old, and I ended up working as a security guard. That was my first ever job, earning £3.25 an hour, like minimum wage. And then I worked in telesales for 14 months, but I was just getting paid so little money that I was spending more every month than I was earning. Within 3 years, I'd managed to rack up about £7,000 of debt. And then I lost my job. I got fired from my job. I was really bad at that telesales job. Mm-hmm. I hadn't paid the rent in 2 months, and then I stayed there another month. They kicked me out. And to cut a long story short, within about a few weeks, I found myself living in an abandoned building in London. I was squatting in this building illegally, together with we were about 20 homeless people living illegally in this building. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I thought, okay, this is very bohemian of me. This is a bit of an adventure. I'll just stay here for a week or so. But it ended up being my home for the next 5 months. Mm-hmm. And one day, in desperation, I just started running through the streets of London just to stop the voices in my head that were just telling me, you're pathetic, you're a loser, kill yourself. And I noticed the old Brompton Road Cemetery in London. I just ran to the end of that cemetery. Mm-hmm. And I collapsed there amongst these tombstones from the 1600s, 1700s. And I decided, my thinking at the time was that I can't turn my life around. I should kill myself right there and then in that cemetery. And, people would could just push me into a hole in the ground. I was already in the cemetery. It would be quite easy, right? Mm-hmm. But something inside me, I noticed these tombstones, and I thought to myself, what would it say on my tombstone if I died in that moment? Mm-hmm. And there's nothing it could say, because I hadn't done anything in my life. I was in my early 20s, and I'd achieved nothing. I'd done nothing. I'd given nothing to this world. And I got angry, so I stood up, and I made this decision in that moment. I vowed to those tombstones that I would find a way to turn my life around, and that once I did, I would devote my life to helping other people do the same. Mm-hmm. Well, a few weeks later, I had an opportunity to do something about this. I found out that a personal development seminar was taking place at the old Paragon Hotel at the end of Old Brompton Road. It's now become an Ibis Hotel, but at the time it was called the Paragon Hotel, and there was a seminar taking place for £300. Mm-hmm. Now that was a huge amount for me. That was a fortune to me. It was the equivalent of 2 months of food. I could survive for 2 months on £300 for food, supermarket food basically. Or I could have rented a place. I could rented a small apartment for a month at £300.
Yes.
So £300 was the equivalent of, it was a huge amount for me. But I decided, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm not sure why exactly, but I've never done this before. But the things I've done before haven't helped me. So maybe this thing, which is diametrically opposed to my thinking beforehand, to my actions up until this point, maybe if I do the opposite of what I've done up to this point, maybe I'll get better results. Mm-hmm. Because my best thinking up to that point got me to be homeless, broke, without a job, in debt. I went to that seminar. And I was there from like 6 a.m. till 9, 10 o'clock at night, like trying to get every ounce, every shred of information from these speakers, from this event, from the people around me, from the attendees even.
Yes.
I was trying to collect as much information as possible to get my money's worth, you know. I just spent a fortune to get there. And I went home, and over the next few days, the 3 days after this event, I started applying the exercises and insights from the event. They said, you got to identify your limiting beliefs. So I did exactly that. I worked on identifying my subconscious beliefs about money. And I found out I had 44 limiting beliefs about money. Then I worked at eliminating them. I wrote down 100 reasons why I must make £2,000 a month. I then did another exercise. I brainstormed 100 ways how I can make £2,000 a month. And one of the strategies, the 90-second idea that I had was ebooks, because the guy sitting next to me during one of the sessions at that seminar, his name was Francis. He had an ebook online about bronchitis. He had bronchitis for about 20 years of his life. He was in his 40s at that point. And he was a successful entrepreneur. He had an engineering company in the north of England. But he also had an ebook online selling bronchitis, selling an ebook about bronchitis, rather.
Yes.
I went to the payphone. I called Francis up. I said, Francis, remember we met at that seminar? I said, yes. I said, listen, Francis, I didn't tell you the whole picture. I'm broke, I'm homeless, I'm in debt. And he said, so are you calling me because you want money? And I said, no, I don't want money. I read in Rich Dad Poor Dad, you should work to learn. Work to learn. Find somebody who can be a mentor and join their company. Work for them. And so I said, I'll work for you for free, Francis, if you'll just share with me your secrets of how you sell your ebook online. They kind of laughed at it. I said, you don't have to work for me for free. It's okay. I have employees already anyway. And in any case, it's very simple. You just need 4 steps. You need to choose a target market, a group of people with a common set of problems, a common solution that they're looking for.
Yes.
You need to then write an ebook that explains the solution, or at least tells them where they can find the solution. And step 3, you got to set up the website that explains what that ebook is about to that target market, and for them to click and buy that ebook. And then you need traffic to that website to sell that ebook to that target market. Very simple. It was a very simple diagram in my head. Traffic to a website. On the website, they can read about the product and click and buy. And once they buy, they can download the product that provides a solution for that target market. Pretty straightforward. So for the next 28 days, I worked like an animal. I worked like a dog. I would work 16, 17, 18 hours a day at the local internet cafe, researching and writing my first ebook. It became a 70-page Word document about diabetes in the end. And then I learned about marketing online. I learned about Google AdWords. I learned about how to set up a website. And in the end, I hired a web designer for £200. I said, I'll pay you later when I make money from this website.
Yes.
But please set up this website for me. And I learned about sales copy, how to write sales copy. So I wrote a sales letter. Attila, the web designer, put it on this website. He integrated the website with clickbank.com. That cost me $49 to set up. Now, I should explain that how was I surviving as a homeless person in London? I had 8 credit cards.
Okay.
And since I wasn't paying rent, and the banks kept increasing my credit card limits. As soon as I didn't pay a credit card for a month or 2, they increased the limit. That was the crazy early 2000s when the banks were trying to get everybody into debt, to as much debt as possible. Well, anyway, I paid for ClickBank $49. I joined ClickBank, so now I could sell through ClickBank.
Okay.
And through ClickBank, I had a network of 100,000 affiliates who could find my product and promote it for me. And also use Google AdWords, so I could spend $5 a day and get about 100. I was spending about $10 to $15 a day to get about 300 visitors a day to my site.
Fantastic.
And by getting 300 visitors a day, well, I was making about 3, 4, 5 sales. After a while, I started making 5 or 6 sales a day. I was making $330 a day in passive income. Actually, within a week, I started making about $300 a day in passive income. There I was, homeless, in my early 20s, earning $10,000 a month in passive income. And that was from one ebook.
Yes.
After a while, I launched another 30 ebooks the following summer. I was actually making $460,000 a year in passive income by 2006, like within 18 months. And that gave me the capital to launch something which was quite expensive actually to launch, which was a seminar company with seminar equipment and staff and offices and all of that. Luckily, we made millions. We made millions and millions of dollars from doing seminars as well. So that's a little bit about how I got started, Rama.
Awesome, Mark. Thank you so much for sharing this. And let's move on. And what makes you really good at making money?
What makes me good at making money? Okay, so, well, the most important thing is your beliefs about money. So the beliefs that I have about myself and the beliefs that I have about money and are positive beliefs. I love and I appreciate the power of money. I appreciate the value of abundance and prosperity. You know, a lot of people go through life hating money. They feel like if they make a lot of money, it's outside of their comfort zone. They don't know what will happen. They're afraid of it. If they make a lot of money, their friends won't like them. Maybe they'll make more money than their father or their mother, and then that will be wrong somehow.
Yes.
So people there's about 200 different limiting beliefs about money that I've come across so far in my work the last decade. So people have many, many beliefs that money equals pain, that money is bad,
Yes.
money is evil, and yet consciously they want more money. So the reason why I'm so good at making money from so many different sources, I have more than 20 different income streams and many passive income streams, I believe, is that, well, talking about believing, it's about that exactly. It's about beliefs. I have positive beliefs about money. At the same time, I spent 2 years of my life studying about wealth creation and personal development and marketing. For 2 years, when I started my business, I didn't go out, didn't have girlfriends, didn't meet friends or see friends. I just worked and made money and spent a lot of that money. Spent 70,000 pounds, probably close to $140,000 so far, in learning more about business and marketing. So now I know dozens of different strategies for making money. In my book, The Laptop Millionaire, which became a New York Times bestseller and a Wall Street Journal bestseller, well, I invested $30,000 to get a mentor to teach me how to get my book onto the New York Times bestseller list. And in that book in itself, there's 35 different strategies for how to make money online. It's actually the 35 strategies that made our clients the most amount of money. Out of the 16,000 people who attended our seminar since 2004, I selected 132 stories of how they make money. They explain how they made money exactly, step by step. And in total, it covers about 35 different strategies. So there's actually, of course, hundreds of ways to make money, thousands of ways to make money overall, hundreds of ways to make money online. But anyway, in my book, I share about 35 different strategies. The point is that I'm very good at making money because I've invested so much in myself and my education about that exact topic. And my beliefs my conscious and subconscious beliefs are aligned with each other.
Great. And just to touch on your limiting beliefs, could you explain how you were able to change those beliefs?
It's a process. It's a process. People can read more about it at mark-anastasi.com /21 secrets.
Okay.
www.mark-anastasi amazon.com/21 secrets. It's a free ebook. I actually spent a lot of time writing that ebook, and in the end, I decided to give it away for free. And it explains that process. But in a nutshell, I would complete sentences like, the worst thing about money is ... And whatever I filled in at the end of that sentence, that's what my subconscious was offering up as an answer. Okay, you got to let that gap, like start a sentence and then see what your subconscious can fill that gap with.
Yes.
I hate rich people because ... I can't make a lot of money because I can't make $1 million a year because ... Or I am not good enough because ... Or I feel like people don't like me because ... Basically, I identified my limiting beliefs about myself and about money. And about money specifically, I had 44 limiting beliefs. My father, here's a few examples of limiting beliefs. Keep in mind that I grew up in Greece, and my mother is French.
Yeah.
So here's a few limiting beliefs. The only way to get rich is to bribe the Greek government. I'll let you guess where that came from in my upbringing. Rich people are greedy, evil, exploitative. We are good people. That is why we have no money. Right? My father was a journalist, right? And he tried 30 different ways to make money, including gambling, but it never succeeded. He never succeeded, unfortunately. And it caused a lot of incredible problems and friction, and almost losing the house, and divorce, and my sisters and I crying, my mother crying on a weekly basis. So it was quite tough. And here's a belief from my mother, another belief. When you have the money, you must spend the money, because if you do not spend the money, someone will come and take your money from you, right? So anyway, there were 44 limiting beliefs like that, and I had to work at identifying the exact opposite belief, the new positive, empowering belief, and then 10 reasons why each of these new beliefs was true and real and accurate. And then by writing down 100 reasons why I must make 2,000 pounds, listen, your brain can come up with 100 reasons why money is good, why you need money, why money is important, and hold on to these limiting beliefs. And then a major limiting belief that people have is, it's hard to make money. I don't know how to make money. Yes, but you've done an exercise brainstorming 100 ways how to make 2,000 pounds. So your brain itself came up with 100 ways how to make money. So your brain cannot hold on to the idea anymore that it's hard to make money and that it doesn't know how to make money. Your brain itself came up with, and you wrote down 100 ways how to make money. So
exactly,
it's like you're grappling with your brain. You are doing judo with your brain. You are fighting with your brain. Consciously, you say you want money. Subconsciously, your brain says, yes, but what if people don't like us when we make more than them? Consciously you say, I want to be a millionaire. Subconsciously you go, ooh, but that's outside of my comfort zone. I'm afraid of what it means, and what if I make more money than my parents, etc., etc. So I basically developed a methodology to have both your brain and your subconscious, but your conscious mind and your subconscious work together to achieve great wealth. Because when they work together, oh my God, things happen so fast. Why did I start making 10,000 a month in just 28 days? Why did I start making 40,000 pounds a month, and then 4 months later I made 40,000 pounds a month, and the next month I made 150,000 pounds in a month? Because I understand how the subconscious mind works. I understand how to reprogram the subconscious mind. So to answer your question, that is why, to a large extent, I am extremely proficient at earning money.
So therefore,
of course, it wasn't the case 12 years ago. I had to educate myself about this.
Yes, indeed. So therefore, you must believe there's a formula to becoming a successful entrepreneur.
Absolutely. I mean, the formula is very clear. Here's a couple of formulas and equations. Here's a formula for making $1 billion. Go out, find out what people want, and then go and bring it to them. That's the ABCs of being an entrepreneur. Go find out what people want, and then bring it to them. Find out what solutions they need, find out what problems they have, go out, get those solutions to them.
Yes.
That's how you make a lot of money. It's very simple. But most people who want to be rich, most people who want to apply the new science of getting rich, they're business opportunity seekers. They have the mindset of business opportunity seekers. It's the worst possible mindset. It's a mindset of, I want something for nothing. I'm lazy and greedy. I want no work, but all the benefits. And they're thinking about how can I make money rather than how can I provide solutions? How can I provide value? If you want to make 10 times more money, it's very simple. Here's another equation. To make 10 times more money equals you got to add 100 times more value. You got to add 100 times more value than you currently are.
Yes.
You can add value by selling ebooks, by using leverage, by leveraging staff, by providing more solutions, by inventing something, by entertaining people. Just find ways to add more value to more people. Here's another equation, another math. Money equals value times leverage. Money is nothing but the measure of the value created for other people. The money in your bank account represents the amount of value that you're consistently adding to people's lives. So money equals value times leverage. That's another great equation or mathematics of wealth creation. And why doesn't everyone do it? Because most people are business opportunity seekers. They want something for nothing. They don't understand that money equals value. They're going to produce value and then multiply that value by using leverage. Instead, they're just saying, how can I take money? It's the diametrically opposed thinking and mindset to successful and wealthy entrepreneurs.
Yes. Very true. Very true. Thank you. And Mark, so what has been your most satisfying moment in business? What's your favorite aspect of being an entrepreneur?
Well, the most happiest, most satisfying moment was when I first had my breakthrough. When I went from being broke and homeless to suddenly seeing that I'd produced something that was working, that people enjoyed, that people were getting value from, and I was making like 5-6 sales a day and 10-12 sales a day at $67. That was I was floating on a cloud for the first couple of months. And then, of course, when my book became a New York Times bestseller in 2012, also that was a very satisfying moment. Yes, I mean, it's I remember there was this kid from school that I really didn't like, and he was always trying to rain on my parade, as it were, trying to put me down. And I heard from a friend that he almost fell backwards at Heathrow Airport when he saw my book on a stand. Like there was just a full stand just of my book, New York Times bestselling book by Mark Anastasi, outside of W.H. Smith's at Heathrow Airport. He did a double take and almost, I think he says that he kind of fell on his backside there in the airport. The last thing he was expecting was to see my name on a book, on a New York Times bestseller at an airport. So anyways, that was a little moment where my ego got a kick out of that. So that's all it is. That's just the ego. Awesome. It was a satisfying moment in business.
Great. So how do you generate ideas? How are you so creative? How do you get these ideas to make so many ebooks? Well, how do you get?
Years ago, I was reading, I had a subscription to Fortune magazine.
Okay.
I thought when I was 18, 19, that if I read Fortune magazine and Time magazine and the Independent, the International Herald Tribune and magazines and newspapers and media, that I would learn something and I would be more successful. I would be happier and more successful in life. It never worked. Newspapers and magazines never, ever, ever improve your life. That's not what they're there for. And they never predict the future. They're there to disinform you. They're there to spread lies. They're there to make you disinformed so that the owners of those magazines and newspapers, they get to benefit because they have inside information, which they'll never reveal, of course, at least of all to the public through their papers and magazines. Anyway, but I did pick up this one thought from a Fortune magazine article all those years ago, the article was called "The New Mathematics of Innovation." It was a very basic idea, so that some companies, maybe companies in Silicon Valley, understood that to have a great idea, you need to have many ideas. So they would regularly get their staff together to just brainstorm hundreds of ideas, so that maybe one or two could be applied to improve the business. The new mathematics of innovation, kind of like the new science of getting rich, come to think of it. And so when it came to my turn to want to have a breakthrough financially, I brainstormed 100 ways how to make £2,000. So that technique worked so well. It doesn't cost you anything. It's just a pen and your journal and your mind. You know, it costs you nothing. So what I do now is on a regular basis, well, I'd say regular, it's not regular, it's an irregular basis. Whenever I've completed a project or launched something and I'm ready to create something else, or I want to improve my business, I take my journal. It's just a plain white paper. It's like a green cover, Ryman's, R-Y-M-A-N. That's the company my journal's from. Just a white, inside is just plain white sheets of paper, and outside it's like a green leather-bound kind of cover. And I write and I brainstorm ideas, 20, 30 business ideas. I might brainstorm, ways to add more value to my customers. I might brainstorm ways to keep in touch. I might brainstorm titles for seminars and boot camps and summits. I might brainstorm entirely new business ideas. So that I literally have thousands of business ideas that I will never fulfill in my lifetime. And so this is why I'm very generous in my business and sharing business ideas with my workshop attendees, seminar attendees, coaching clients. Well, mainly the retreat attendees and the coaching clients, basically my high-end clients. I have dozens of business ideas to share with them that I know will work absolutely 100%. And I just, I don't have time in this lifetime to do everything.
Great. And what habits, mindset have helped you to be successful?
I'm a big proponent of using subliminal software. We've developed this software called Prosperity Power, which basically brainwashes you into success, even against your will. Even if you don't want to be successful, this software just makes you highly, highly successful. Why? It's based on the science of how the subconscious mind works. Subconscious works at a much higher rate, much higher speed than the conscious mind. So for example, if it sees a sentence for just 1/10 of a second, that's it. Your subconscious mind gets programmed through seeing that very rapidly, but also through repetition. I mean, that's the main one, through repetition. So what if, here's what the software does. The software flashes your goals and affirmations, your positive statements. For example, I love my life. I'm a millionaire. I am rich, I'm loved, I'm grateful, I am amazing, I'm inspiration, I am a genius and I apply my wisdom. Okay, it flashes these separate sentences, one sentence every 5 seconds, but just for 1/10 of a second, randomly on your computer screen. It doesn't interfere whilst you're working, just randomly on your computer screen, you have this software reprogramming your subconscious mind for effortless success. Because here's what scientists discovered. Scientists discovered that you will do whatever it takes to be aligned with your identity. So if your identity is, I'm an employee who earns £1,000 a month, well, guess what? You will keep doing things consciously and subconsciously to keep you in that lifestyle, in that situation of earning just £1,000 a month as an employee. But what if you start reprogramming yourself up to 7,000 times a day effortlessly, like you have an effortless daily personal development boot camp happening on your desktop, your laptop screen, without you having to lift a finger. It's a daily boot camp, personal development boot camp for you effortlessly. And this boot camp programs, every 5 seconds, you're being told that I attract wealth effortlessly. I earn £10,000 a month. I'm amazing. I'm an amazing entrepreneur. I'm a self-made millionaire. I love my life. I'm a genius. I I attract wealth, etc., etc. You develop an identity effortlessly. All this is effortless, zero effort required. You develop an identity within yourself that is so powerful, so powerfully conducive to wealth and success that nothing stops you. And by the way, nothing can stop you on your way to achieving that. You should know though that on average it takes 3 to 6 months for this type of programming to kick in. Sometimes people start having results within a few days, maybe a week. But typically it takes 3 to 6 months of using that software in the background for your brain to be so overloaded with this belief, this powerful, positive belief about prosperity. For example, I mean, there's 30 different programs in there. This program's about attracting a man, about being a goddess, about having a beautiful natural childbirth, about self-esteem, total self-confidence, about being an amazing speaker on stage, about being a New York Times bestselling author. There's dozens of programs in there. But effortless prosperity, wealth attraction, these are just 5 or 6 of the available programs, all available within just one software tool. And
fantastic.
So what do I do on a daily basis? Just to get back to your question, is I program myself for my goals using our Prosperity Power software, which costs like $20,000 to develop. And also I use affirmations, visualization, and meditation. Just before I meditate, I do my visualization and my affirmation. So it takes me about maybe 4 minutes before I start meditating. And then I meditate for about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And plus, of course, I have dream boards, vision boards, hero boards. I have pictures around the house. I have I got these nice silver bowls filled with coins, thousands of coins. I have 2 of those, 3, and a porcelain bowl as well filled with coins. So I got at least 3 bowls filled with coins in my house, just as a visual reminder of prosperity. And plus, we live in a pretty nice house, so everything around us is a reminder of prosperity and abundance and all these things. Again, I'm not saying this to brag, but this wasn't my reality 12 years ago, but it is my reality now after a lot of work, after a lot of effort. I spent 2 years, like I said, studying about marketing and copywriting and business and how to build a company up and et cetera, et cetera. So, you put in good things into your mind and good things come out. Otherwise, it's garbage in, garbage out.
Very true, Mark, very true. You mentioned about a person's standards, and this determines to a certain degree what they have in a bank account. Could you expand on this?
Yes, I think that you're referring to a story I shared on stage about how when I started out, I had 7,000 pounds in debt.
Yes.
But I started making $10,000 a month. So within probably 3 or 4 months, I'd paid off my debt. I was using this money for my living expenses, etc. So it probably took me about 3 months to pay off the 7,000 pounds. And so I was back at zero. And I would make some money, but I would spend that money and I was back at zero. And after a while, I thought to myself, this is bizarre. I'm making so much money, but I rarely have much more than £0 in my bank account.
Yes.
Why is that? And I realized that I had a standard in my life. I was so fearful and I hated so much having debt that as long as I was out of debt, I was at zero, I was happy, I was content with my financial situation. And so if it dipped into my overdraft minus 100 pounds, let's say, I would hate that and I would make some money. But if I was at 5,000, I was like, great, I have 5,000 pounds above my standard, so I can spend that. And I would spend it very quickly. So what happened was that I decided to set a new standard for myself. And the new standard was I would never have less than 20,000 pounds in my bank account. And within a month, I had 20,000 pounds in my bank account. Then later on, I decided that's not that much. I'll set a new standard for myself of 50,000. Within a couple of months, I had 50,000 pounds as savings in my bank account. If it was 60,000, 62,000, fine. I could spend that extra surplus But if it got down to 49,000, I would kick in the boosters, do a launch, do something, a seminar, or launch another ebook, promote something to my mailing list to get it above 50,000. Because it's like a thermostat. It's like a thermostat. If it's really warm and balmy, it's like 32 degrees Celsius. You go, phew, I can take off a vest. I can put on the air conditioning. Ooh, okay. Oh, I'm back down to 25 degrees. Oops. Let's kick up the heat again. Let's kick up the boosters again, right? So it's the same thing with your standards for how much money you have in the bank. Now, of course, making those sums of money to fill up your account is really mainly possible if you're an employee. I mean, perhaps if you're an employee with lots of like sales commissions and bonuses and incentives, possibly, but not really, or not typically. Yes. You need to be an entrepreneur, be able to do these things. So basically, I raised my standard to €250,000. Basically lived in a country where euros was the currency, and I said to my wife, who wanted to have children, I said, okay, but we'll have children as soon as I have €250,000 in savings in our accounts. And I thought, maybe it'll take a year or something. It took me just maybe 3 months, or maybe less than 3 months, maybe 2.5 months. And I had €250,000. I had probably 100,000 at that point, and then I quickly scaled it up to €250,000. It's just a standard that you have for yourself and for your life. For example, as a standard, Donald Trump. I don't know if you've ever heard the name Donald Trump. Most people have never heard of Donald Trump. It's not on television every day. Donald Trump. I'm being sarcastic, of course, but Donald Trump has a standard that if he's only a millionaire, if he only has $1 million, he'll kill himself. His standard is he needs to make at least $1 billion a year, or else he's a loser. That's a standard. It makes him very unhappy, makes him quite pressured. It's quite pressured, but that's his standard. So all that to say that, yes, how much money you earn, how much money you have and you share and you benefit and you have in your bank account, you benefit from, that's a standard. That's a decision you need to make. You have to decide and then make it a standard. It's not try to, it's a standard. It's like you've landed on the shores of Denmark and you are burning your ships. So you can't go back. It's either you move forward and you conquer and you make it happen, or you die on those shores, right? So that's what a decision, a commitment, a standard, it's about. It's about having will. It's about having personal power. It's about having that strength of character to bend reality to your will, to manifest exactly what you want.
Indeed. Thank you for sharing that insight, Mark. Let's move on. So there are many school leavers, or maybe someone who has just lost their job, but they have no idea, absolutely no idea what they want to do with their life. What would you advise?
Well, if it's a question about their purpose, they should ask themselves quality questions like, what do I enjoy doing? What do I love? What would I love to do for free? If I had $20 million in the bank, what would I love to create? Or if I had 20 million pounds in the bank, what would I love to be doing right now? And I don't just mean the partying or the girls, the boys, the traveling around the world, the food, the drink, etc. Once you've had your fun, what would you love to? Because those things get boring after a while. If it's always available. What would you really love to do with your life? Other questions are to help identify the purpose is, what do people ask you at dinner parties, for example? What do people want to learn from you? What is particularly easy for you that others find hard? What comes easy to you? Another approach is to say, what would you love people to say at your eulogy after you die, about how you lived your life? What would you like let's see what else. If you only had 6 months to live, what would you do? If all 7 billion people in the world, if 1 billion people in the world could tune in and watch a 5-minute message from you on television, or a 3-minute message from you on television, what would you say to them? Also, another approach is to ask yourself, when you read a story or watch a movie, what makes you cry? Because that's an insight into what's deep and meaningful to you, about what you're really meant to do with your life. In the movie Gandhi, when there's the separation between Pakistan and India, so the word is not separation, there's another word for that. But anyway, when that occurred, I think it was 1947. And they were, so all the people of a certain religion were moved to Pakistan, this new country, and there's fighting, there's war, they're basically killing each other. What is it? I guess it's the Muslims and the Hindus. Is that correct?
That's
I
right,
think
yes.
it's something along those lines. And at that point, Mahatma Gandhi starts a food strike. He won't eat until the fighting stops. That story, and they do, and both sides agree to stop the fighting. And that story of that man's sacrifice, of that man's love, I mean, it makes me emotional just now, just thinking about it. I'm not sure why. One person with some psychic insight once said that in a lifetime of mine on an alien planet, in a different life form, I was tasked with being a diplomat, and I failed at my mission, and millions of soldiers and beings and people from my planet and somewhere else had died, and that I carry that with me, that my efforts at diplomacy failed, and so war was the only option. Perhaps that's complete nonsense. But in any case, the point I'm making is that there's something in that story of that sacrifice and the love and the selflessness of Mahatma Gandhi in that moment, the contribution, the desire to bring peace. Maybe there's something there for me to think about, to ponder about, to maybe part of my mission has some on this planet in this lifetime has something to do with that. Who knows? But the point is this: discovering your purpose, your mission, whether you're a school leaver, as you put it, or somebody who's just lost their job. Listen, doing something you hate for a living, that's not a living, that's a dying. You might as well not be on this planet if you do something that you hate for a living. So my advice to them is figure out your purpose, figure out what would make your heart sing, and do that. Irrespective of whether it makes you rich or successful. Here's the thing: if you do what you love, you will meet with success that is very rare. There's a sentence there. There's a quote about the most uncommon of successes. If you do that.
Thank you for that. And how would you define being rich? There are lots of people who are positive with a positive attitude, but they're not rich in terms of money. What are they doing wrong?
Can you please repeat the question, Rama?
Certainly. How do you define being rich? There are lots of people who are positive with a positive attitude, but they are not rich in terms of having money. What are they doing wrong?
Okay, well, to me, those are two very separate questions. So how do I define being rich? I define it as having the freedom to do whatever you want, whenever you want, wherever you want. Okay? That's the freedom. That's the definition for financial freedom as well, incidentally. But to me, that's what being rich is. For other people, it's having £1 million or $1 million in the bank or $10 million. That's what being rich is for them. For me, it's a state of abundance, a state of prosperity, knowing that I could click my fingers and make $250,000 or £250,000 almost as soon as I decide to do that. And that to me is abundance, is prosperity, it's self-expression, creativity, freedom. So that's what being rich means to me. The ability to make money on demand, the ability to manifest abundance, living a life that's prosperous and free. The definition of prosperity to me is more interesting. Prosperity is a life of wealth and abundance, and obviously prosperity, a life of abundance and wealth, but also respect and love, good health, great relationships. That's all parts of having a prosperous life. I know a lot of people who are rich, but they are divorced 3 times and they're miserable and they're lonely.
Yes.
I know people who are very rich and who are depressed and sad and angry all the time and stressed all the time. That to me is not, it's rich, but it's not prosperity.
Exactly.
So that's not to say I know people with lots of money who are very, very happy, prosperous, great relationships, etc. Don't get the wrong idea there. I'm just saying that there are poor people who are very happy, and there are rich people who are very happy, and vice versa. So to me, since money is nothing but the measure of the value I create for other people, my wealth and success and abundance is simply a representation of how my creativity and my creations, what I've created, has delivered value for a lot of people. Hence, why it's reflected in the value that has flown back towards me. If you add 100 times more value, you'll make 10 times more money. Most people don't add any value. They destroy value. They're on welfare. They add 0 value to society, 0 value to their fellow man, and yet they receive money for nothing from governments. So, you know, there's a French economist. I forget his first name, but his surname is Say, S-A-Y. And it's called Say's Law. It basically says it says that if you want to consume, you must first produce. It's Say's Law of prosperity. The more men can produce, the more they will purchase.
Yes.
In other words, like I said, if you want to consume more, if you want to have better standard of living, don't go into debt. Produce more instead. We live in this crazy world where governments are telling us that you want to help the economy, be a good consumer. To consume means to destroy. Consumption is not the way to prosperity. Consumption is the way to debt and despair and lack.
Yes.
Production. Be a producer of food. Be a producer of good. Be a producer of value, of services. Learn how to produce value. That is how you're going to be wealthy and successful. That's why you're going to have prosperity. Now, what was the second part of that question? Where are people going wrong?
Yes, that's basically it. Yes.
Yes, well, I think I kind of answered that question, I guess.
Yes, you have.
People are focused on destroying value rather than on producing value. People are focused on entertainment and distraction rather than on learning and educating themselves about wealth creation. People are focused on keeping up with the Joneses, keeping up appearances, debt, and being in a job out of fear, being stuck in a job out of fear, rather than being focused on expressing themselves to the fullest, being what they were meant to be.
Very true.
So I mean these are just some of the ways how people are wrong. Listen, the reality is this: most people are lazy, greedy, selfish, self-centered, ignorant, and they just do what they're told. And what large corporations, through their mouthpieces, the media, they own the media, they own government to one extent or another. In one way or another, they own governments and the media and the banking system and corporations and advertising. And the message across that mainstream seems to be consume, consume, consume. Give us your money. Give us, the large corporations, banks, us your money. You just be good consumers. You just take more debt. Just keep working harder and harder and harder on that mouse wheel. And it's like Robert Kiyosaki says, people work long hours for their employers, for the bank, for the government, and they have little to show for it.
Indeed.
That's the situation most people are in. So where are they going wrong? Well, that's where they're going wrong. They believe in that story that they learned at school, which is sit down, shut up, repeat what we tell you, do as you're told, and you'll get a pat on the back, you'll advance through the classes and get a good education, a good degree, and a good job, and you'll be set for life. And then when you're 60, you can retire and do whatever you want. Well, now they've raised the retirement age to 69, 70 in some countries. They're talking about raising it even further. There's no money in the pension system.
Exactly.
So it's all an illusion. It's all a lie. Don't believe those mainstream lies. Don't believe that storyline. The truth is, you need to start adding 100 times more value.
Yes.
Become a good producer. So anyway, that's where people are going wrong. They've bought the propaganda hook, line, and sinker.
Okay. Let's quickly move on. And what has been the top 3 pearls of wisdom you have learned so far in the last 10 years after interviewing so many thought leaders, Mark?
Well, I'll tell you this in as big aha moments. First one is that money is nothing but the measure of the value you create for other people. You get rich by enriching others.
Yes.
The next one is stop selling your time for money, because your time is limited, so your earning potential is limited. Sell products rather than selling your time, because when you're selling products, your earning potential becomes uncapped. As I'm speaking to you right now, I could sell one ebook, one audiobook, one software tool, or I could sell 1,000 in the same amount of time. It won't affect my time at all, because it's like concatenated. Maybe that's not the word, but like it's value that has been put together to form a little value box, a little value product, a little value system.
Yes.
Right. So what I'm saying is that piece of value, that product, I could sell hundreds of them, and none of my time is attached into that process.
Exactly.
So that was the second big aha moment. You got to sell products rather than selling your time.
Yes.
And the third big aha moment was that money equals value times leverage.
Okay.
If you can learn how to add 100 times more value, and then utilize 10 times more leverage. For example, when you have a business, you can leverage advertising. You can leverage other people's work, other people's time as employees, outsourcers. You can leverage technology, automation. You can leverage software. You can leverage the internet, Google AdWords. You can leverage thousands of things to reach more people and sell more things.
Yes.
Deliver more value. You can use more leverage to deliver more value to more people. When you're an employee, here's the tip, here's the thing. When you're an employee, you're being leveraged.
Exactly.
You can't, maybe you're leveraging, let's say, your knowledge or your education a little bit.
Yeah.
But really, you're just being told, you just do what you're told to do, what you're trained to do, and you're being leveraged rather than using leverage. You're only adding value to one person, one employer, maybe a few clients within that company, but rather than adding value to the world at large, to thousands of customers yourself.
Yes.
Within your own company. So, or even adding value yourself to other employees by providing them jobs and opportunities, etc. So become a value producer and learn how to use leverage. And the fourth tip was that whatever business you're in the marketing business. You need to master marketing in a big way.
Great. Thank you for those 4 tips, Mark. You mentioned separation as an illusion. How did realizing this help you to speak in public and sell more?
Right. You're referring to the moment that when I share in my talk about like a spiritual awareness, a spiritual awakening that I had back in 2004.
Yes.
Well, I attended the seminar in 2004, a few months after, maybe 2005 actually. It was a few months after I'd started my company, my business, my ebooks business, maybe a year later actually. And and well, to cut a long story short, quantum physicists, scientists, the most advanced scientists in the world, have come to the realization that there's no physical matter in our physical universe, that physical matter is an illusion, that all there is energy. They basically took the smallest atoms that make up reality, atoms, the nucleus of the atom, the electrons zipping in and out of reality around that nucleus, the neutrons. They opened these elements up to see what is physical, what is real and solid in that matter. And they found that there's nothing solid in physical reality, that it's an illusion of our senses. We think that our physical universe is physical, but there's nothing physical within our physical universe.
Yes.
And how can you explain this massive contradiction at the heart of science, except this way? Scientists have said all matter is but empty space with a pattern of energy running through it, a singular pattern of energy. That means the furthest star away from our galaxy, and every galaxy, every star, every planet, and our planet, and you and me, and the air between us, and the table on which this laptop is sat right now, it's a bottle of water in front of me. It's all just one thing, one energy field. And the only thing they can compare it to is a thought wave, which makes you wonder, whose thought wave is it? And what's interesting is that if you've read any Eastern mystical texts and you understand a bit about the nature of reality, well, psychics and mystics have said since the dawn of time that we are part of the mind of God, a supreme intelligence, that a creator with its mind, with its supreme intelligence, started vibrating that mind, that thought energy, faster and faster, made it more and more dense, more amalgamated, more compacted, more dense, until all that thought energy became physical reality, just exploded into what scientists call the Big Bang. You know, we know about the Big Bang. The question is, what was there before the Big Bang? What existed before the Big Bang? All the physical matter of the universe, where does that come from? Answer me that. That's what I ask my atheist friends. I go, and here's the thing, I understand. They're anti-religious because religions are tools for control, and they don't make sense, and they are corrupt, and they kill people, and they launch crusades, and their stories don't make sense. I get it. I'm anti-religion as well. I think religions started out as a good thing, but then they were subverted and taken over by the elite of the time for purpose of political control. But anyway, I'm kind of going off on a tangent here. The point I'm making is this: is that if you understand, whether through quantum physics, through science, or through metaphysics, and understanding the spirit world, you understand that the separation between human beings is an illusion. We're all part of the same body. We're all part of the same mind that is experiencing itself on this playground in physical reality. It's figuring out what it is through us, through our self-expression, through our choices. And that you never really die, that you're immortal, that you're an immortal, eternal energy that just keeps manifesting itself and creating itself anew in different physical manifestations. You die, you go back to where you come from, and then after a while you choose to come back to physical reality, to learn something new, to experience something new, to learn how to love more. So when I got that realization back in 2005, I was able to just walk into any space, a bookstore or a supermarket, and just understand that there's no separate. All the people in that books to all that people in that seminar audience, the people in the supermarket, they're me. So if I'm in front of 500 people and they're me and I'm them, how can there be judgment? There can't be judgment because I would just be judging myself, which is ridiculous. They would just be judging themselves. It's just one part of myself speaking to other parts of myself, healing other parts of myself. You know, and we all agreed before we even came here that we would meet on this day, and that this would happen. And this would be my role, and this would be your role, and then you would share this with me, and you know, we would move on and move forward, and you know, have these experiences.
So in 2005, how did you realize that? Did it just click in your brain? You mentioned something about when you were younger, that you were playing with some toys and you just remember that. But how did that event when you were 6 years old connect to when you were in your 20s and help you to blossom in your business?
Well, I guess it just made sense when I heard that story. It just made sense to my mind. It was just a little allegory, a little story about how the universe was created. And, you know, it would take me too long to get into it right now. But yes, when I was a child, I played with Legos. And, you know, after a while, it gets boring, just creating, destroying, creating, destroying. So you create these stories. These 5 Lego men are attacking, they are taking over this space lunar station. And you create these little scenarios in your head, and you imbue your little Lego men with a little part of your consciousness.
But the question is, Mark, how did you playing with Lego relate to when you were listening to a talk? Did it just happen to just come into your brain and that's it? It like an aha moment?
It just made sense to me. I can't explain it differently. It just, without telling the whole story, I can't explain it end differently. It was like, I understood that as a child, I had, it was boring to just follow the map for the building that lunar space station. It got more exciting and more interesting as the creator of that lunar surface, as the creator of that playground. For me, as a 6-year-old, it made more sense to imbue those little Lego men with a part of my consciousness.
You were the creator.
And although they all think, all these little Lego men might think they're alive, they might think they are individuals, they might think that they're separate, they were all still just part of my consciousness. So when that speaker in 2005 talked about how this consciousness created, destroyed, and they created a playground, but it was boring because nothing's happening on the playground. There's nothing at stake. There can only be something at stake if you think that you could die. Then you really experience life. Then you really live and experience this rainbow of emotions. Right? You're on the edge of your seat kind of thing. Then it's exciting if you think you can die. But you're eternal. You're immortal. You're part of the creator. Of course, you can never die. But if you can have the illusion that you'll die in this physical reality, then it's then you really get to experience life in its fullest. The ups, the downs, the goods, the good, the bad, the light, the dark, the pain, the pleasure, etc. So the point is that from that moment onwards, I was able to do seminars sort of large groups of people, and I just felt connected with everyone. I didn't feel fear of what they think of me, or what anybody thinks of me. In fact, you know, because there isn't anybody else outside of me. There's just me. There's just me, and everyone is part of me, and I'm part of everyone else. There's just me, and whoever's listening right now, in this entire universe, there is just you, and you're playing out a game. You're eternal. You never really die. It's just an illusion. It's physical reality.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that insight with us, Mark. So, where do you want to go from here? What are your future plans?
Well, we are launching 3,000 new products and books and ebooks and audiobooks and video courses next year. But also, my long-term plan is to have 100 centers, 100 inspired centers, 100 personal development centers in different cities around the world,
Yes.
where all day long, every day, we just have different speakers and seminars, and we build communities around those centers. You know, maybe we'll have 400, 500 members per center, and that center acts like a bit of a community center, if you will, for personal development and for solidarity and for helping each other and for learning new things. And yeah, I have a vision along those lines, and it's something I'm very excited about. It's something that doesn't exist in our society, but I want to create it, and part of those centers will be for alternative medicine and healing and yoga and all kinds of things like that.
Great. Look forward to seeing.
That's what I want. I mean, it's going to require millions of dollars in investment. I want us to buy or build those centers. So it's you know, it's a long-term plan, but we've already taken over a center here where we live, and we've started doing some workshops there. And in due course, I'll be training people, of course, to be our speakers and to travel around the world, to go from center to center, essentially, and teach, or have people locally there be the main trainer and speaker and organizer for that for the community.
Fantastic. And last question. If you were conducting this interview, what question would you ask Mark?
Okay, so what question would be the best question to ask of me? I mean, you've asked some pretty good questions there. Let's see. I think if I were on a one-on-one basis, I might. The question I would ask Mark Anastasi is, why am I not rich yet? Then I'd have a pretty darn good answer for you about why you're not rich yet. What question to ask me? What question should you ask me? I'm not sure, because I've said quite a few things already. I think a great question to ask me is, how can I take full responsibility for what I've created in my life so far? It's because ultimately that's what everybody needs to do, to take full responsibility for what they've created and what they've not created, and realize that therefore they have the power to create something new. You know, when people say they want to, let's say they say, I want to make $20,000 a month. Great. What that really means is that you want to create a new reality in your life that is called, or that the term for it is, it's a reality where you're earning $20,000 a month. And it starts with you taking back control of your life, taking back control of your mind by taking full responsibility for what your mind has created and produced in your life so far. That's scary. Most people would rather blame others, would rather give up responsibility to somebody else. They would rather be told what to do. They would rather blame and complain.
Yes.
The reality is nothing will change in your life until you take back control of your creative power, until you realize that your thinking has created your life exactly as it is today.
Great. Well, Mark, thank you so much for joining me and sharing so many insights. I really appreciate your time. And
Thank you.